like you lost another one.
Whoa, welcome to the Summer Showcase. I'm Michael Washington. He's Bryce Lagow. And shout out to Bryce, obviously, and Pylon Productions for that wonderful opening that we have here as we bring you the ELF football, European League of Football action. Week 2 is in the books. We did things a little bit backwards. We had some technical difficulties last night, so we were unable to do Summer Showcase. So overtime ran first, and now we are here with our regular show with me and Bryce. Bryce, first and foremost, welcome back, man. Crazy week too.
Yep. Had couple of technical difficulties last night. Had a big storm rolling where I'm living right now, and good to be back online, ready to go.
Yeah, for sure. We're glad to have you back, man. And we discussed the ELF action. We had some big news, which we'll get into once we get closer to those games. Some interesting developments across the board. First and foremost, Milan has had a scam. Don't fall for it. To our viewers out there, don't fall for it. They posted a thing. They talked about it. Make sure you go follow Milan on social medias across the board so you don't get caught up in that issue with the scams. I hate scams, man. Scam artists just stop. Just stop. Good Lord, just stop. All right. First game on the docket. The game that I picked the Panthers to win, and it hurts as a Panthers fan that they didn't. But I will say, a 44-34 victory for Stuttgart. This is promising for a Panthers fan. Riley Hennessy looked, fairly good. The Panthers didn't really garner really much of a pass rush in this game, and Hennessy kind of had a field day down the stretch.
He certainly did. Yeah, he early on the Panthers had a really good start to the game, and Hennessy kind of kept the surge in the game early on. But ultimately, on the back of Hennessy, the surge offense really started to roll, and eventually was just too much for the Panthers.
Well, the Panthers had this game close down the stretch. It was a 3-point game. It was 37-34. Yeah. They turned the ball over on a fumble. If that hadn't have happened, maybe it would be, the sword would have swung differently. But yeah, I talked a little bit about it on overtime. The Panthers secondary has been real suspect through first 2 weeks, but I don't know how much of that's the secondary as much as it is maybe a lack of pass rush, possibly even.
I mean, certainly a lack of pass rush does not help your secondary at all. It makes them look really bad. So maybe a combination of both.
Well, hopefully they can figure that out if they want to get to that upper echelon. Though I will say, as a Panthers fan, it was promising to see the Panthers keep this game close, considering Stuttgart was in the championship game last year, and it really gives them an opportunity and chance to show that they can hang with top tier guys. First and foremost, shout out to Sam. Sam, thank you so much for giving us a platform once again to talk about everything football. Definitely appreciate it. The ELF is a high quality brand of football in Europe, and it's actually surprising at how high quality it can be. That's for sure. The second game on the docket was a little bit of a surprise. There's a lot of hype surrounding this team. But last year there was a lot of hype surrounding Paris, so we didn't know what to expect. First game in franchise history, the Madrid Bravos went in and they demolished Barcelona, 42-12. Not really much of a game here.
Yeah, in Barcelona, they showed flashes of still having the playmakers from last season, but as people expected, Madrid looks like the more complete team overall, and Chris Helbig looked very good, and the Bravos overall looked like a much more cohesive unit than the Dragons did.
It was very interesting because there was a lot of talk. Obviously, Madrid took a lot of the Spanish national team. We mentioned it on the show. We talked a little bit about it heading into the week. And they took a lot of the Barcelona players or several of the Barcelona players from last year. This Barcelona team had a very tough, gritty win in week one, and we kind of were unsure what to expect with Madrid. And it just felt like Barcelona came out flat. Levi Lewis, who was an early favorite in some cases, as a potential MVP candidate, kind of came out looking kind of stale. This Madrid Bravos defense was all over the place.
They're fantastic.
Yeah, so it'll be very interesting to see what Madrid does moving forward. They have a very interesting game next week coming out of the slate for sure. Now, the big news. Obviously, I talked about it in OT. If you caught the show, if you didn't catch the show, D'Angelo Fulford in the Raiders T role, he was let go due to performance based. It was a performance based decision, as he said. Bryce rolled his eyes because that's pretty much how we all feel. I will say D'Angelo did carry himself with a lot of class with his statement. He did not point fingers. He did not take any cheap shots. He did say that he was going to look at himself eternally, as far as like maybe it was something he did. The weird move here is going into next week, and we'll touch base on it when we do our previews. But they're bringing in a quarterback for 1 week. It doesn't make any sense. We'll talk about that in a minute. This game, though, the Vienna Vikings beat the Raiders T-Roll 27-6. It was a rivalry game. I understand there was tensions running high. It was not the performance that the Raiders really wanted, but I will say this: it was 14-6 late in this game, and it was just two really kind of late touchdowns that put Vienna on top over this game. So the Raiders were in this game, and I think it solidified that they have one of the best defenses in the league.
Yeah, and it's interesting because D'Angelo Fulford, in my eyes, he didn't play as badly as the offense performed as a whole. And to scapegoat him as, oh, this is the reason why we're not performing is absolutely ridiculous. And what I will say about D'Angelo is the only sway I've seen in how he's felt and dealt with the situation was whenever he liked my Instagram story saying justice for D'Angelo. And that's the only like sort of emotion I've seen out of him on this. So he's done a very good job.
Yeah, I will definitely say something here that I I don't know. This T roll program is they've been around for a while. They have a fantastic like the Swarco later Raiders. It's a developmental team, et cetera, et cetera. That's where Case and Martin comes from. So it's not like it's not like that they don't have some kind of establishment, right? As an American quarterback, though, it has to be one of the least appealing positions or teams to go to because of what they did to Christian Strong last year at
Yeah.
6-2, and now D'Angelo Fulford after a 1-1 start where he had one bad performance and they kind of let him go. It was a performance based decision for them. For Christian, they just basically said you weren't a championship caliber quarterback, and they
Yeah.
didn't make it to the championship anyways without him. So, like,
I'm very interested to see who they're going to attempt to bring in now because you've cut two AM port players, and now you're either stuck with Case and Martin for a week, which seems to be the plan, or you ride out the season with him, or you try to sign somebody to fill the hole that was D'Angelo Fulford. And I don't know who would want to come into that situation at all.
there is a lot of talks that it's possibly Kenya Allen from the
Okay.
Mexicas. They had to wait for the LFA season to end before they could get him to come over to Europe. I don't know if Allen was always the original target and they were just waiting for the LFA season. But if that's the case, then why not just say that to D'Angelo when you sign him? Like,
Yeah.
we're only going to keep you around for 3 weeks, and then, as soon as Allen is available, we're going to go with Allen. Don't know if the rumors are true. Cole McDonald would be a very good choice. I'd love to see Cole on the
Yep.
field again. I think he
He
deserves to
would
be on
be
the field.
great. He would be
He's
great.
he's talented enough. I think he'd be perfect for this league as well. Mason Fine is another good one.
Mhm.
But the grumbling, Sam, and the rumors surrounding this situation was supposedly there was a possibility that or at least this is what I've been hearing, that there was a possibility they have been in talks with this guy before the season even started.
Mhm.
And that to me, I feel like eliminates Cole McDonald and Mason Fine because there was really no guarantees that they would be a free agent at this point in time. So it makes me think that it had to have been somebody that was either starting in the LFA or somebody that was tied up somewhere else. That's how I view it.
That's the only logical reason that I see.
If it's true, and that's actually what happened, um, I kind of feel for D'Angelo Fulford, and honestly, anything he says and does, I really wouldn't blame him because that to me that's BS personally.
It's very sorry for an organization to do that to somebody, especially someone who's trying to make their mark in the professional football world, and it's just not a good thing for a team to do.
Yeah, it would indicate an LFA guy. UFL's a little bit trickier because I just don't know if anybody's going to want to make that move from the UFL to the ELF. Possibly it could be a third string guy that was sitting behind somebody, but I don't really see anybody necessarily making that kind of move. But who knows? It's the world of football. Anything could happen, right? Like, I mean, at all. Kason Barton will definitely be heading into the week with an audition, maybe for the future, because like I said, he did play for Swarco, so it's not like he's not familiar with the organization. It'll just be a matter of whether or not he plays well enough that they're like, maybe we can have you for the future, because he's a first year pro, right, Bryce?
Yeah.
And you said, thankfully to you, by the way, Eastern New Mexico to Tiffin at the D2 level. For sure, which is weird because I didn't recognize his name, but I watched a lot of Eastern New Mexico football last year or 2 years ago. No, but last year and 2 years ago, and it didn't click with me for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah,
He was with Tiffin last year, right?
I don't think he played at Eastern New Mexico. I think he wasn't starting there and transferred to Tiffin.
And transferred. Okay, all right. Well, that's probably why I didn't recognize his name then, if that's the case. So, all right, the fourth game on the slate. My co-host, my buddy Zach, his
Yeah.
Milano Seaman got clobbered by the Munich Ravens 47-7. I will say though, they were up 7-0 for a quarter and a half of this game. And there was a third drive of the game where there was a couple questionable missed calls by the refs, which it happens at this level pretty often. That ended up
Doesn't excuse 40 points.
well,
Unfortunately.
no, but I'm just saying it stalled the drive, so there was a
Yeah.
chance. It was more that this offense was actually looking a little bit better. The problem that happened in this game was at halftime, Munich made all of these adjustments on defense, and Milano made absolutely zero adjustments on offense.
Yeah.
And this offense was very stagnant and very bland, and there was no substance to it. It felt like the offensive coordinator was just making calls for the sake of making calls. There was nothing being set up. Munich came out looking like the team that everybody expected them to, and they took the Stuttgart loss pretty personally. It looked like to me.
Whenever you're a coach, especially at this level, if you're going to get fired this early in the season, you have to be really bad. And this guy, I don't want to call him bad, but
It was ugly. It was really
whenever
ugly.
you go into halftime, right, and you know that this is a quality organization, that's Munich, and you know they're going to make adjustments, and you make zero adjustments, and you come out and then lose the game by 40, you're going to get fired. It's just how it is at any level of football, really. If you make zero adjustments and then proceed to lose the game by 40 points, you're going to get fired.
Yeah, he really just didn't feel like he had a game plan. His plays were, not designing to set up things. They were not designed to get people open. It was not designed to move the ball. Um, he handcuffed Zach in the second half, and really just this offense just never got going from there, which killed the defense because obviously the offense couldn't stay on the field. So maybe the change at offensive coordinator, they brought in a former head coach of Milano, the Seaman, Luke Zaraka, was under him for several seasons and has spoken very highly of him. So that's great news for the Milano Seaman fans. So maybe they can put something together here and we could see some really good progress for this team here in the future. I predicted them to score 21 points this week, and he was very, very excited about that and was like, hey, like I would love to score 21 points. So we'll see what happens. The next game on the docket was the Prague Lions against the Berlin Thunder, 48-17. I predicted like a 42-19 victory in this game, so I was pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
Berlin just, to me, like, I know you said Jacob Sullivan pre-show kind of had some, questionable decisions or whatever, but I'm going to tell you right now that for me, he's my early MVP candidate, and
Yeah.
I'm not even ashamed to say that. Even though the team is 1-1, I really do not feel any shame saying that. He's playing really good football to me overall. A 48-17 victory over Prague. Prague is making improvements, and that's what you want to see from this organization, especially after the nightmare season they had last year. So that's a positive if you're a Prague Lions fan. But, if you're a Berlin Thunder fan, you have to be really happy with this offense.
No, you certainly do. And honestly, for me, it's a coin flip right now between him and Ben Holmes, because Ben Holmes, I know you're going to disagree with me on this, but he has the better team for sure. And Jacob Sullivan is doing more with less, but I don't know. I just love the way that Ben Holmes plays. But enough about him. This game was this game was it started off a little shaky for both quarterbacks. Both quarterbacks threw interceptions and had some big returns on those plays as well. But Berlin was able to settle in and really take control of this game, even though Prague's defense did play very well for the score that it was.
Yeah, I thought the Prague defense is definitely the stronger suit, the stronger side of the ball for them. Kari Lyles has been a little inconsistent on offense. They've shown flashes, but he's been very inconsistent so far. I'm glad that he's still out there. I'm glad Prague is still sticking with him to give him an opportunity and chance to put things together. But this defense is definitely the stronger of the two units. So I don't necessarily disagree with you with Ben Holmes. I just think there's another candidate that's in the running, and it's hard to put him there, but I think it's just a preseason favorite.
Yeah.
And he's only played one game, and that leads into our next game, and that's Zach Edwards for the Paris Musketeers.
He looked amazing. He looked really good.
Yeah, this game wasn't close. I mean, it was a 41-14 Paris Musketeers over Hamburg Sea Devils. I was a little bit surprised. I do not think Javarian Smith played that poorly as a whole. I just don't think this offense just got going at all. I think Paris just destroyed them from the start.
No, we talked about it in the preseason preview of the quarterbacks. What will it look like when Zach Edwards can stay upright? And this is what it looks like when Zach Edwards can stay upright. it's some really good quarterback play. It's and it wasn't just him, obviously. Markel Castle. I'm sorry, wrong team. I'm blanking on the receiver's name, but he was killing it. Mitchell.
Austin Mitchell.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Mitchell.
He was also fantastic. It was a Zach Edwards and Mitchell show, man. They were torching that Hamburg secondary.
Absolute fantastic debut for Austin Mitchell for sure, and it's going to be a dangerous 1-2 combination between Zach and Austin all year long for anybody that's playing, especially if Zach can stay upright. Because, I mean, let's face it, this guy is a European, American football, American football in Europe. Europe, God, I guess is how I want to say it. Like
he's a veteran. He's a veteran for sure.
You know what I mean? Like. This is a very good question, Sam, about Zach. Maybe yes. I mean, he's so good that it's at the ELF level, and we've only really seen him at this level that it's hard to really gauge whether or not he would be that good at the UFL level. But I would like to see him get a shot just to see what he could do. I think he's deserved one. It's hard with quarterbacks because at any of these levels, any one of these quarterbacks may thrive at one level and not be good at another, but we've seen them not thrive at a lower level but be fantastic at an upper level. So it's really just in the right system, like I honestly, with the way Zach Edwards plays, I would love to see him in a Brian Callahan offense, like at the NFL level, or something like along those lines. Because I think Brian Callahan is a genius. So, and if you're a Titans fan, you should be very happy right now that I just said that. So,
I think
uh,
he's built like a UFL kind of guy too. He's very strong body. Like he's
yep.
able to hold up if not that you'd necessarily want to have him on the ground so much. We've seen what he's like when he's upright so far, but he's able to take the hits that some big time defensive ends can lay, and he's I think he definitely deserves a shot.
Yeah, Sam. I agree. I think a lot of the American imports are guys that are capable of making the cut, if not getting and getting some really good playing time. Like I would love to have seen Austin Mitchell play at the UFL levels, especially with these kick return rules, which are the same in the ELF. So it's not like it's well, they're not the same anymore, but they were the same in the ELF as they were the XFL. But with the new rules, I still would like to see him get an opportunity and chance to do it, be a little bit of a do all guy at that level because I think he could be. It's just will they get the opportunity? Will they get the shot? I mean, we see it every year. How many players come out of the college every year, try to make it to the NFL, and now with the UFL they get another opportunity and chance, plus all the ones that get cut. So um, it'll be interesting to see if we ever see that jump from the ELF to the UFL. But if Stiggers can do it through fan controlled football and
Yeah,
everything else, it's definitely possible we could see it for sure. So
certainly.
the next game on the docket was the Vierfar and Throners against the Cologne Centaurans. This game did surprise me. 35-10, the Centaurans won this one. I do know that Jack Mangle got hurt, and he
Yes.
played hurt. This dude is a tough SOB. I mentioned it on overtime. He was barely able to walk at the end of this
Yeah.
game. Like he threw a touchdown pass and was like,
It was limping.
oh, it was so bad. But kudos to him for finishing the game. Him and Robitaille just never really seemed to be able to get this offense going, and then the injury happened fairly early. That it kind of, I think, just threw the team out of whack overall. And Cologne capitalized, to Cologne's credit.
Certainly, Isaiah Weed. I think I like the way he played a lot this week.
Hmm.
I think that he used his assets to his advantage, and we came into this year thinking he'd probably be, probably one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. But he's come in, and I mean, I'm not saying he's Jadrian Clark, but he's also not horrible, and he's able to get the job done when needed.
That's a fair point. That Cavante Turpin did come from the ELF.
He did, yeah, from Wroclaw.
He was from the Panthers, so played over there. So yeah, that is true. He did come from the ELF as well. So we have seen at least one then in that manner. To be honest with you, it's completely slipped my mind about Turpin for some reason. But he did. And I think it's probably because he played before I got into the ELF. So as much. My thing here with Vierfar is I think it was just a disappointing output because week one it looked fairly good, right? Mangill and Robitaille looked really, really good. They looked like they were going to be this 1-2 deadly combination type team, and it never really got going. And again, that might have been from the injury standpoint.
Oh no, it certainly was. Well, that's the issue when you only have two guys as your offense. Whenever one of them gets hurt, it's not going to go well.
Yeah.
It's especially the quarterback.
I do want to give Kuda a shout out to the receiver. I can't think of his name, but he was a receiver, and he ended up being the backup quarterback. He came in and played QB.
That was good.
While Mangill got hurt for that stretch. And then when Mangill came back, he made 2 catches on the following drive that gave them first down. So shout out to him. I can't remember his name. I'll try to remember it for next week. And, when we move forward with, the recap and stuff. And the last game was actually a really good game. This was probably my second favorite game that was on the slate. The Rhine Fire defeated the Frankfurt Galaxy 31-20. That game, the 11-point score was actually closer than what it looked like. Ryan scored fairly late to put them up, but Frankfurt looked really good. And if you are a Frankfurt Galaxy fan, you're not feeling good because you lost to Ryan in a rivalry match, but you got to feel good about this team moving forward, though.
Oh, certainly. And for a little bit, I was watching, and it looks like there might be a scare going on at halftime, but not to be after a couple of ill-timed decisions and interception late in the game, but it was definitely a valiant effort.
Yeah, Luke looked really good. Him and Markel Castle. This is Markel Castle.
Yeah.
Those guys looked like they picked up right where they left off in the Italian league together, and it's going to be a fun combination watching those two play this year.
Oh, Markel
Frankfurt,
made an amazing catch down the sideline. Oh my
oh,
goodness, ridiculous
so
juggling
good,
catch. He's amazing.
so good.
He needs a
I
shot.
love,
He needs a shot in the UFL.
I
100%.
love, I love Markel Castle. So I mean, I was a big fan last year. He won me over with Munich. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. It'll be interesting to see what happens with this combination because there's a lot of deadly 1-2 combinations in this league. And when you are able to get back with a quarterback that you have a track record with, it's kind of nice to see what could happen. So, yeah. Any other surprises from this week that you may have thought or that you were shocked about, or did you make any notes on?
Honestly, I have written down here. It's time to start putting Ben Holmes in the early season MVP conversation. But I've already mentioned that a few times. Man, how about you? What do you think?
I mean, the way too early MVP talks. Like I said, it was for me. It was Jacob Sullivan, and I put Zach Edwards in there from his talks.
Yeah.
You can make a case for Ben Holmes for sure. I won't say otherwise. It's just I felt like week 2 was a little more inconsistent than week 1, and I'd like to see a little more consistency from that part. And obviously, you have to talk about Jadrian Clark. He's got to be in there.
Oh
Just
yeah.
because.
Well, that's
And
a good one, man. That's a
and
good.
and speaking of Jadrian Clark and the Rhine Fire, Devin Hextall has re-signed and he is signed with the Rhine Fire. He'll be there for week 3. So that just means the rich get richer and the poor get poorer in that sense
Yep.
and situation. All right. Well, before we jump into the week 3 predictions, I have to let my sponsors go ahead and have a quick word, and we'll be back.
This is Current. It's the card my parents used to pay me for mowing the lawn, running errands, and doing well in school.
Oh, wow.
This is the card I used when we got the idea to make our own clothes. And we spread the word, drove downtown, and sold everything we made. This is the card I use to do the things that really matter. This is Current. Visit current.com and download the app for free today.
Welcome back. Thank you, Current, for your sponsorship. And if you have anything, hit the code that's right there in the corner. And by all means, make sure you hit up Current. It's a great product as well. Bryce, week 3 previews and predictions, and I actually have it set up here to be able to take notes and write these down.
Fantastic.
I'm actually finishing them up right now as we move along here, but we can start with Madrid versus Rhine. The Madrid Bravos traveled to the Rhine Fire this week. This is one of several matchups that actually look like they may be pretty good here this week. So what's your prediction on this one?
And like I said last week, I'm not picking against Rhine until they lose. And I feel like it's going to be a similar situation to how this past week was. A tight game early, the Rhine pull away late. I'm going to go 30-17.
30-17 Rhine?
Yes.
All right, Bryce. That sounds actually pretty close to. I think that might actually be identical to what Zach predicted for this game, to be honest with you.
Right.
I think it's very close.
Great minds, right? Great minds.
I do not remember what my score was on OT. That's the one problem with this is I didn't prepare for OT. I prepared for this one, but I don't remember what my score was. I know I picked Rhine because, like I said last week, like you said, like you can't pick against Rhine until they tell you can't pick against them, basically,
Exactly.
right? Like that's just the way that works. And I believe that I actually put this game to be a little bit higher scoring. I think I put both teams in the 30s just because I think Chris Helbig and Madrid looked really, really good. It's just going to be a matter of whether or not those cracks for an expansion team start showing or not. I believe, if I remember correctly off my top of my head, I think it was 37-28. So was my score, if I remember off the top of my head here, for that game. It is going to come down to, can Helbig keep this team together, and what defense are we going to get from Madrid, because they had a really good defense last week.
But that was also against Barcelona.
Right, it was against Barcelona. Yeah. Will they have the same results this week? So I do expect it to be a one-score, not a one-score game. I said that last time. A single-digit game, victory one way or the other. I don't expect it to be double digits, even though you guys did both predict double digits in that game. All right, moving forward, the Raiders T-roll. This game is very interesting. So we talked a little bit about it in the recap. We are talking about no D'Angelo Fulford. He was there for 2 weeks. They're bringing in Case and Martin for a one week rental for some reason, I guess is the best way to put it. Doesn't make much sense to me. They're taking on a Barcelona team that just got absolutely crushed last week by Madrid, but they have already had one tough, close game with a victory, and they have a really good quarterback in Levi Lewis. Is this a trap game for T-Roll?
It certainly is. And not only do I think they will lose, I also want them to lose very badly because of how they treated D'Angelo. I think that I hope Case and Martin lights it up, but I hope T-Roll also loses. But in that case, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game because Levi Lewis is going to come to play, and T-Roll is an overall good team. So I'm going to go 38-30 Barcelona.
Barcelona upset victory here for
upset victory.
30-38 for Bryce in that game with Barcelona. I am on the opposite end of the spectrum for you here, in the sense of it being a high-scoring game. I think that this is going to be a low-scoring affair. I think this game is going to be a race to 20. Whoever can get to 20 is going to win this game. And my prediction is that neither team gets to 20. Case and Martin's coming in. It's a very tough situation for the young man. Let's be honest. As much as I hate how the Raiders treated D'Angelo, and as much as how I hated the Raiders when they treated Christian Strong last year, this defense is still one of the best defenses in football.
Yeah.
Barcelona has some issues that they need to figure out, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Levi Lewis has worked really well. It's just I don't know if this defense is too much for that offensive line. If Lewis is running for his life, it's not going to be a good situation.
Nope.
And the one thing about the Raiders is a strong defense and a great run game with Banyati does automatically help Case and Martin out. I just expect it to not be as one-dimensional as I think it's going to be. It's just not going to be as open as I think people are going to be used to with the Raiders. I think the Raiders win this game 18-12. If Barcelona gets to 20, they're going to win this game. If the Raiders get to 20 first, they're going to win this game. I just think the defense wins this one, and that's where I go with the Raiders because I think they have the better defense over the Dragons. The interesting game, another interesting game, Helvetic. We've only seen them in week 1. Things looked pretty good. They had a bye week last week. They did not play. They're traveling to Milano to take on a team that just went through a giant coaching staff on offensive coordinator. One offensive coordinator in, another one out. What's the preview here?
Well, I mean, in that first game, Carlton Aiken looked very good. And I believe that on a 4-day turnaround, getting a new coordinator in, putting in a new offense, Milano, as improved as it may be, it's going to be tough to make that happen. And I think that Helvetic is going to get it done. It'll be a very close game, I believe. I'm going to go a 1-point game, 20-19.
20-19 in favor of Helvetic.
Yes.
All right, I like that idea. I think that's a good one for sure. I am on the same train. I do think that while it's going to be improved, I think it's going to be tough in a short stretch to learn a new offense. I do like this coach. I think that this coach is going to hopefully do wonders with this team. Hopefully he can help these Italian wide receivers, because that's been one of the biggest issues is the Italian wide receivers. Now, in case you don't know, Milano used the second A import on their running back. So they don't have an American receiver. They're one of only a few teams, or I think they might be the only team that does not have that spot designated to a wide receiver. I predicted Milan to score 21, and Zach got really happy, but I think they lose this game 24-21. I think Helvetic is going to be much improved. Carlton Aiken seems to have the reins on this offense, and we'll see what happens coming out of the bye week, if week one was just a week one fluke, or if it was going to end up being an actual legitimate situation where Helvetic may be a tough out. So 24-21 for me, Helvetic. The next game, very interesting one. Another great game. This one looks like it's going to be a great game on paper. The Frankfurt Galaxy against the Paris Musketeers are in Paris. Zach Edwards, like I said, looked sensational in week one. Do they have enough to keep him upright against this Frankfurt team that pushed Ryan?
I think they do. I think they do. I like the way Paris plays a lot. I think that their offense is going to come out firing with Zach Edwards and Mitchell, and I think that they're going to win this game 27-21.
27-21, and you think it's going to be Paris, you said?
Yes.
27-21. Okay. That's a good score. I do not remember what I predicted this one in. I know I predicted fireworks. I predicted a lot of fireworks in this game. I believe I picked Frankfurt to score 38 and Paris to score 42.
Wow.
Yeah, I look. The Paris defense,
crazy.
Look, the Paris defense was really great in last week. This Frankfurt offense is, they only scored 20, but I think with Luke and Markel, it's going to look a lot better. And if Paris doesn't have the same caliber defense as Ryan does, which I don't think they do, we could see a shootout here. And I think this game is very much on the docket with all the games that are left. The most likely to be a shootout style game. So I believe it was 42-38. I hope it was. I don't really remember, but that if you watch overtime, you can tell me if I was wrong in the comments, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to be wrong on one of these. I'm trying to go off memory here. The next game, Vierfar. We don't know the status of Jack Mangle. Him and Robitaille have looked really good. They're taking on this extremely high-powered offense of Jacob Sullivan and the Berlin Thunder. In Berlin, this game could be dangerous.
Yeah. Jack Mangle, we don't know. Obviously, he played through his injury this past week. We don't know if he's going to be 100% for this week. And I think that Berlin with that offense is going to be dangerous for Fairbar. So it's not looking good for them.
What do you have for a score in this game?
Yeah. I'm going to be a little conservative. I'm going to go 32-12. Berlin.
For Berlin, okay. I remember this one vaguely. I think it was, I don't know, 16-40, 44 maybe, I think. I don't remember. 45? 44. I'll go with 44. I think that sounds about right. And that may not even be. It's a possible, depending on Mangle's injury, it is possible we could see 50 burger in this game. We have not seen one yet. I know it's coming.
A 50 burger shutout, that is very possible with Mangle out.
If I don't know if Mangle's out, because I haven't heard anything yet. It's just I don't know how bad this injury is.
Yeah.
I mean, he's tough. He toughed it out last week, and the Enthroners still had flashes of being good, and it just him and Robitaille are going to need to hook up. The problem is like if you only have a two-piece offense and you don't have enough around you, it's going to hurt. So hopefully, fingers crossed, Mangle's okay, and we can see this for what it is. But 44-16, I got Berlin winning this, and Jacob Sullivan continues to enshrine himself in in MVP conversations. Another game I'm looking forward to. Tough schedule, by the way, for Warclaw. They started with Berlin, and we saw what happened in that game. Then they had Stuttgart, and now they're at home hosting Vienna. And Poland sounds like it's going to turn out for this game like they have all year long so far, which is fantastic for Polish football. The Panthers at home against Vienna. What's your look at this one?
I think Poland wins. I think
Oh.
Warsaw wins. I think they win.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a 28-24 victory for Wrocław.
Oh.
I think that Stephen Duncan and the boys are going to show up and get it done.
I mean, I'm going to tell you that I hope so. I certainly hope it's going to be that way. Look, the Vikings are a really well-rounded team, right? They're one of the top teams in the echelon. The Panthers need to make a statement that they're going to be there, that's what they want to do, right? They were close with Stuttgart. The sword fell the wrong way on them, and it ended their hopes of beating Stuttgart. Now they have a chance to come back and do it against Vienna the next week, right? They have an opportunity. They have a chance. I will be very interested to see what this secondary and pass rush is going to look like.
Exactly, and my prediction is contingent on that. If they can improve one or the other, I think they get it done. If they improve the pass rush or if they improve the secondary. Because if they improve the pass rush, it helps the secondary. If they improve the secondary, it helps the pass rush. It's they work with each other.
Yeah, it definitely is going to be a fun game to watch. And it's going to be a very fun defense to watch. Maybe not so fun sometimes with the Panthers, but
Yeah.
if they want to be in that upper tier, this is going to be the game that they're going to have to do it in, or at least showcase that they still belong there.
Right now, they're knocking. They're knocking on the door.
Well, and they're definitely there at the door. I mean, they showed Stuttgart. The Stuttgart game showed that this is a chance for them to get in the door. Unfortunately, I don't think the door opens this time.
Really?
I think Vienna wins this game 36-33. I think it's going to be a very close game, just like the Stuttgart game was originally going to be close until the turnover late in that game. I hope it falls on the right side. I hope this game I'm wrong about, but I did pick Vienna to win this one this week. So
Traitor.
Yeah, I know. I picked against my team, but I'm a Washington fan, so I'm used to it. So
there you go.
You're a Cowboys fan, right?
Oh yeah, we beat you all the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, how many playoff wins have you had compared to us in the since your last one?
Probably more than you, man.
No, not since your last one.
Well,
no. Well, actually, no. Actually, you guys won one last year, didn't you?
We did win one.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's what we do. We win the wild card and lose the division. We get the playoff wins. We don't get the real playoff wins.
And I just found out Zach is an Eagles fan, so it just makes things even worse for me.
Oh boy!
All right, I'm surrounded by Eagles fans. It's ridiculous. Yes, Sam, I'm talking about you. All right, last game on the docket. What is this, like a court case? Last game on the slate. The Prague Lions against the Munich Ravens. Another game that looks like it may be fairly lopsided. What's your thoughts and predictions on this one?
Munich really turned it up after a disappointing first week. And I think they continue that trend. I think that week one was a real, okay, let's get our stuff together type of moment. And they came back in week two, showed out. I think they're going to want to make even more of a statement against a team that they can really do it against in Prague.
And your score.
And my score. I'm going to go 42-14. Munich.
42-14 Munich. So that's pretty close. That's actually really close to what my score was, because this was one that I remember. My co-host did predict a 50 burger for the first time.
Ooh, all right.
He predicted 52 in this game. I was very close to a 50 burger. I predicted this game to be 49-14.
Oh,
Um, Kari Lyles and Prague, the defense is definitely the strongest point for Prague, right? Like we've talked
yeah.
about that already.
Yes.
Kari Lyles has looked very inconsistent. He's struggled to keep the offense flowing. I don't know if it's necessarily all his fault, but it definitely does not look good.
It's definitely mostly his fault because look, man, I don't want to be a hater on anybody, but it starts with the quarterback. And if you are not doing what is needed to win games, your team is not going to win unless you have extraordinary pieces around you that's just carrying you. And they don't have that right now.
Yeah, I just it's just not consistent enough to win games. Like it's not a winning it's not a winning style of football if you're inconsistent and you're unable to really bring it together right on the offensive side.
Yeah.
It's just the way that works in football and professional at any level.
And he's definitely been one of the more disappointing quarterbacks for what was expected of him so far. A former D1 guy at Jackson State with Prime and all the guys. So I was expecting a little bit more. A bit disappointed it's not showing up as of right now. Obviously, that can change in the future. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll definitely see what happens with that from that standpoint. Moving forward. All right, so we have our predictions. I actually have them written down and have to rely on Sam this time, so that's
There we
awesome.
go. There we go.
So that's pretty incredible. Week 3 predictions are in the book. I just need to make sure I edit the name of it so I know exactly what it is, and that way I'm not ELF predictions. Perfect. All right. You have anything else slated here? Oh, we mentioned Devin Hextall, and we mentioned obviously what was going on with the Raiders T-roll.
Yeah.
I don't think there was any other big news that really came out other than the coaching change that took place.
We covered the span with Milano.
Yep. So, yeah, I think that's about it, man. So I think that's going to do it for us here tonight. All right. Summer Showcase is in the books for week 2. Week 3 is coming up around the corner. Obviously, get your ELF Game Pass if you have not yet. It's definitely totally worth it. They do offer single game options. I think it's like $5 or something, $7 maybe. It's not very expensive at all. So if there is a certain team you want to watch or a certain game or a matchup that you want to watch and you don't want to watch all of them, you can listen to our predictions and find out which games are going to be on the docket worth watching. I said it again, docket on the slate worth watching, because it definitely gives you at least a little bit of an insight as to where you want to spend your money if you want to watch some good European football. The ELF Game Pass can be found on the website. You have to get it set up through the website, but you can watch it on the app. You can stream it to your TV, most likely, if you have the ability. And I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think they just struck a deal recently with Amazon.
I did hear that as well.
I don't know the parameters surrounding that, but I believe if you look into it, I'll have more information next week because I'll dive into it throughout the course of the week. But I believe they struck some kind of deal with Amazon, so it may be another outlet for you to be able to watch a little ELF football because it's definitely a league that should be watched, in my
And I
opinion.
did hear that it has to do with your Prime account. I don't
Oh,
know.
okay.
I don't know if that's a discount on the ELF Game Pass or it comes free with your Prime account, which would be massive. But
Yeah. I can actually check that out because I have Prime account, so I can check it out. And if it's free, then well, I'm not going to ask for a refund, but I have the Game Pass either way, so either or for me. But at least it would give me something for the future
there you
to
go.
not have to worry about. I am very curious as to what the Raiders will do heading in out of week 3 to week 4 with the quarterback position. But until we know more, we will have to just speculate like everybody else. Until then, hit the Shady Sports Network up on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the little dingy so you get the notifications whenever there's a new show. Basically, there's tons of shows. The summer showcase series continues with Summer Showcase Northern Lights later on tonight, 10:30 p.m. Eastern time, my time, which is Eastern, and we will be discussing the CFL north of the border for sure here. So, Spring Showcase is winding down next week. I have two special guests on: Aaron Ellis, who will be with who was the starting quarterback for the Gallos Negros, and Damian Williams, the starting linebacker for Reyes, will both be on to talk about the championship game that takes place this weekend as well for the Summer Showcase spin-off series as well. Bryce, what do you have going on with Pylon Productions? Anything coming up here soon?
Well, I just released 2 videos of the UFL. I released my Luis Perez highlight and my I am blanking on his name. He led the UFL in all-purpose yards this past season. Chris Rowland from the
Chris
DC.
Rowland.
Chris Rowland. But I released their highlights for this season. They're, in my opinion, they're very good. Go give them a watch at Pylon Productions on YouTube and _Pylon Productions _ on Instagram and Pylon Prods on Twitter. So I'm all over the place.
Yeah, make sure you hit them up. Make sure you follow them. I'm not going to drop my socials. Like I said, you can DM me for them if you find me in any of them. They're all over the place, and it would just take too long it would just take too long to talk about them all. But make sure you hit up Bryce if you need highlights as well. If you're a player listening to this Pylon Productions as well, let's hit that subscribe button, hit that like button for him for sure. But that's going to do it for us from here. Shady Sports Network. Sam, thank you again for a platform talking ELF. I'm Michael Washington. He's Bryce Lagow. That's going to do it until next week.